Hi, this is Nate, and today we're going to be reading Chapter 20, A Man Ahead of His Time. History is full of surprises. When you're living through it, there is no predicting how it will turn out. Consider those two leaders, Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. By the end of the century, everyone had heard of Booker T. Washington. He was said to be the best-known Southern man since Jefferson Davis. He was much loved by both races. When Booker Washington spoke, people listened. President Theodore Roosevelt invited him to dinner. Wealthy men like Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller gave money to the causes he supported. Now the average person, black or white, had never even heard of W.E.B. Du Bois. Those who had knew that he was brilliant, and that he was an African-American thinker and writer, and that he had earned a Ph.D. from Harvard. They also knew that his ideas often got him in trouble. They knew that he had been fired from some jobs and that he had money problems. But what seemed shocking was that he often disagreed with the great Booker T. Washington, and said so in writing. How could anyone disagree with Booker Washington? All the newspapers agreed with him. So did most college professors. Why, even the president believed his ideas were right and sound. Well, as I said, history is full of surprises. Today historians say that Booker T. Washington was a man of his times, who, without meaning it, may have held his people back. Du Bois, they say, was a man who had important things to say to whites as well as blacks, even though, at the time, few people seemed to be listening. Why do some historians think Booker T. Washington may have held his people back? What did he do wrong? He compromised. Sometimes compromise is the best thing to do. Booker T. Washington thought he was doing right, and maybe he was. What do you think? Remember, he lived in the days of Jim Crow. He lived in the days when 2 or 3 blacks were lynched, murdered, each week. What did he do about that? Almost nothing. Washington compromised with the whites who were in power. He told the white leaders that blacks wanted jobs, that all they wanted was a chance to earn money. And before we move on to the next page, we have a picture up here, and it says, W.E.B. Du Bois was a founder of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, which seeks to end racial injustice. And then we have a quote from W.E.B. Du Bois, written on his 25th birthday when he was a student in Berlin. So he said, "Night, grand and wonderful. I am glad I am living. I wonder what the world is. I wonder if life is worth the striving. I do not know. Perhaps I shall never know. But this I do know. Be the truth. What it may, I shall seek it on the pure assumption that it is worth seeking. And heaven nor hell, God nor devil, shall turn me from my purpose, till I die." So, moving on to the next page. He believed that if blacks had economic opportunities, other opportunities would follow. So he headed a school that trained blacks in working skills. Now that was fine. He taught the value of hard work, and that was important. But he also told white audiences that if blacks could have jobs and economic opportunities, they wouldn't demand social equality. They would live with Jim Crow. That made him very popular with some whites. He didn't try to change things. He didn't fuss. Many people are afraid of fuss and change. During the years that Washington was the leading American black, Jim Crow grew mightier and mightier. He also grew sillier and sillier. In Mississippi, Jim Crow segregated soda machines, and in Oklahoma he segregated phone booths. But W.E.B. Du Bois wouldn't compromise with anyone. He wanted full equality. Nothing less would do. Besides, Du Bois understood that in a democracy, all citizens must be treated fairly. Prejudice is not democratic. He wasn't the only one who felt that way. It was the theme of America's Declaration of Independence. Carl Schurz said, "If you want to be free, there is but one way. It is to guarantee an equally full measure of liberty to all your neighbors. By denying full freedom to blacks and women and Asians, America was weakening its democratic government. W.E.B. Du Bois understood that. And up here we have a picture. It says, W.E.B. Du Bois, the first African American to earn a Ph.D. at Harvard, wrote, "We refuse to surrender leadership to cowards and trucklers. We are men. We will be treated as men." He worked to bring the vote to women. He spoke out against anti-Semitism, which is prejudice against Jews. He worked to get fair treatment for immigrant groups. He tried to stamp out Jim Crow. He couldn't do it, but his words and ideas helped those who would do it after him. Some people say he was the father of the civil rights movement of the 20th century. William Edward Burghardt Du Bois was born in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. His family had lived there for a long time. One ancestor fought in the Revolutionary War. The Du Bois family was respected. Each spring, in Great Barrington, all the townspeople gathered for a town meeting where they decided how to run the schools and how to spend the town's money. While he was still a boy, Du Bois went to the town meetings and learned that democracy was listening to the other man's opinion and then voting your own, honestly and intelligently. But it was during a visit to his proud grandfather, who would never agree to any form of segregation, that he learned about his African heritage. He met other African Americans and admired their physical beauty, their enthusiasm, and their good minds. He wondered, could he be both American and black, or must he choose? Here is his answer to that question. We are Americans, not only by birth and by citizenship, but by our political beliefs. Du Bois understood that each American has a double inheritance that includes the responsibilities and rights that go with American citizenship, and the personal richness of his or her own ethnic roots. Du Bois believed that our diverse backgrounds enrich us all. No people originated on this continent, not even the Native Americans. It is the collection of heritage that make America special. And up here we have a picture, and it says, in 1905, Du Bois, second from right, middle row, and other black Americans met at Niagara Falls to discuss civil rights. Oh, sorry about that. W.E.B. Du Bois' ideas would help lead blacks, and all people, to pride in their achievements. His own accomplishments were intellectual. Du Bois wrote many books and edited several magazines. He was one of the founders of the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, an organization of blacks and whites formed to fight racial injustice. The problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line, said Du Bois. He didn't think color should be a problem. Du Bois had good ideas, but he didn't have much talent for people. He didn't know how to work well with others, so most people didn't pay attention to him. Booker T. Washington's talent was in healing differences, in helping people get along. Washington said there was a time when he hated whites, but he quit when he realized that hating the white man did him no harm and was narrowing up my soul and making me a good bit less of a human being. Think about those words. Are you sometimes tempted to hate others? What does that do for you? As it turned out, the ideas and example of both Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois are important to all Americans. Each wanted to make our country do what it was always meant to do, be fair to all people. As Du Bois said, we are Americans, not only by birth and by citizenship, but by our political ideals, and the greatest of those ideals is that all men are created equal. Up here we have a picture, and the caption says, "A bronze plaque at Hampton University in Virginia honors W.E.B. Du Bois, Center." And to his right, Booker T. Washington, surrounded by a Native American and 2 African Americans. Down here we have another picture, and its caption says, "Since its founding in 1909, the NAACP has pursued its mission to eliminate race-based discrimination. In this photograph, a diverse crowd poses in front of the NAACP headquarters in New York City in 1929. So that was chapter 20. I hope you all have a great day.